that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day, home and away.
Welcome to Home and Away, a Tottenham Hotspur podcast hosted by myself, Graeme and Glenn Cowie, where we discuss all things Tottenham Hotspur with both a match attending and international supporters view. Glenn, are you good?
I'm doing all right. As we just discussed off air, I'm dealing with a power cut at home, a planned power cut, but the electric board kindly put in an email in bold lettering, "This will not impact your property." So I assumed we wouldn't get it, but apparently we have. So other than the power cut and being covered in sand after a quick workout on the beach and not being able to shower, I'm doing all right. But for the general public's benefit, I do need a shower at some point. I'm hoping it comes back soon. Cool. And how are you, mate? How's things with you?
I'm good, thanks. Heather's still recovering, but she's getting better every day. Work's pretty full on at the moment, but yeah, it's a lot of football again this week. Another 2 matches.
Well,
two.
Yeah,
as the case may be.
Yeah, indeed. As I call it with football, we're kind of almost fully immersed ourselves in silly season, aren't we? With ridiculous amounts of games, which is great for the viewer, but not so good for a team that is struggling with injuries, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I guess the obvious place to start, as we haven't spoken about it, as we haven't met since, would be the 2-2 draw with Roma. I know that you didn't attend, Graeme, but what was your viewing experience, and what did you make of the game? And I'll get into my lack of viewing experience. I'll get into that in a moment.
I watched it at home, watched the full match. Yeah, 2-2 wasn't the worst result, but in the first half we made enough chances to win the game. It's a familiar story, right? I could basically cut and paste that statement into pretty much every game that we've played this season. We rode our luck a lot in the second half. They had 3 disallowed offside goals, and in the end, draw was probably a fair result. They deserved something from the game because they worked really hard. When you think that they've been utterly terrible in the league, and it was their 3rd manager, I think, as we said last time, since the beginning of January, they really looked up for it, and fair play to them. And I think the injuries are starting to show. I don't think the squad's able to cope now with the number of injuries that we've got. And the problem is that even the backups are starting to look tired because they're playing a lot of games, more than they probably would expect it. Like, we've got people like Ben Davies and Dragusin playing 2 matches a week because we don't have any other options really. So yeah, was disappointed in the end that we didn't get 3 points. It drops us out of the top 8, which is the automatic qualification spots, and into 9th. Behind Rangers, funnily enough. They've had a couple.
We play next, yeah.
Yeah,
we're going to play next week.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I didn't see it live. I was, as we mentioned on the last recording, participated in a 60k walk, which was fantastic and dreadful all at the same time. You know, the connection was great. There was about 12 of us that did it. Really good conversations around, but the game kicked off at 7 a.m. Friday morning for me, and I started my walk around 5 a.m. So I was about K number. Let's see, I was probably at K number 10 or 11 by the time the game kicked off. So I didn't see it live, but when I got home on the Saturday, I watched the mini match, which is only 4 minutes, essentially like a condensed version of the game.
Without much time the ball was in play.
Yeah, right. My takeaways were similar to you, and I have to say I was obviously watching the mini match and then reading a match report. I was quite surprised at some of the players he picked, and then we get into the Fulham game, and then some that didn't feature in the Fulham game, and namely Kulusevski. But I thought, talking about the opposing team a little bit, I thought Dybala was really good, and it was his free kick, wasn't it? Was it a free kick or was it open play that he whipped in for their equaliser?
It was, yeah. The first goal.
Yeah, really, really good free kick and a classy player, as you put it. But I think, look, you would think, we're still qualified. But Rangers away, we'll get into the conversation around that in a bit, but the Rangers away is a tricky game, and obviously we're right outside the automatic qualification, as you mentioned, right behind them. But what did you make of the team he picked in terms of for Roma? Like, were you surprised? I mean, we didn't have a choice with the centre backs, but were you surprised that Kulusevski did start and then obviously subsequently didn't start against Fulham?
Yeah, that was an odd one for me. Gray at left back as well. I know we can't play Jed Spence in the Europa because he's not in the squad. But I don't understand why he didn't play Udogie and then play Jed Spence on weekend, for instance. That would have given him the rest that Udogie probably needs as well. But yeah, and given that Jed Spence didn't really get any minutes again, did he? I don't think. I think he's quite peripheral. And even to the point where at the weekend, what's the other guy? It shows how long it's been. It's been over 2 years since he's been in the squad.
Reggie.
He was on the bench.
Which was really strange. Like, I watched, as we're kind of pivoting to the Fulham game, I watched the whole 90 minutes, watched the whole game, but I didn't watch it live, I watched it on delay. But yeah, I was like, and this is probably, I should have done my research, but I didn't even think he was at the club still. I thought he was out loaned somewhere, because wasn't he at Brentford last season?
Yeah, but he's been back. He just didn't get a good loan move. I think the problem is he thinks he's really good, and he thinks he's going to get a move some decent. Like, he's been at Man United, he's been at Brentford, and he's done all right at them, but I don't know why no one wants to take a punt on him. But I think cancelling his contract at some point. But
you know, we're talking about a player like cancelling his contract, but yet obviously was positioned on the bench for the. It was just weird. I was really surprised to see him, and it was clearly just to make up numbers.
That was the thing I was going to say, and the reason I brought, I know it was related to the different game, but if you look at the bench, it's threadbare. Right? We had kids who went back to school the next day on the bench. You know? Yeah, good youngsters, but we can't play the bench with adult players. It's a bit of a worry.
Well, and pivoting to the Fulham game as a whole, and we'll get into the performance in a moment, but I think. I don't want to say there's a sense of naivety or arrogance amongst some Spurs fans, but it's almost like, yes, the performance wasn't great, and it was going to be always hard to hit the heights of what we had the week before against City away. We didn't lose the game, though. We got a point, and I actually, on balance of play and reflection on that game, we got a point, and you take a point on it on terms of how the game actually went. How the fuck? I mean, we were 1-0 up. We're surprised at that.
It's a rough play for that.
Correct, massively against someone I play. But again, I don't know if it's arrogance or naivety, but if you look at our injuries, well, no shit, that's going to have an impact. And then you bake into that for Sunday against Fulham, Salaty's all of a sudden missing, he's got an illness, that's going to impact us. And that
happened. He was at the stadium. He actually got to the stadium before he couldn't play. So we'd obviously expected him to be available.
Yeah. And I think, from what I've read, and sent him home. Like, I think he had it, or maybe he had flu, or God knows what. But it's just weird to me that we look at Arsenal, for example, when they were about Erdogan, they weren't winning games and they weren't playing to their potential and their max, because it impacts you. You need a full squad to pick from, especially coming into this period of time.
We've got like two defenders. Our striker, we've got so. It's like a spine of the team. The keeper's out. Like, if we were to lose one of the decent centre midfielders, we'd have the whole spine of the team would be gone. It's just,
and then you add in Benjamin's suspension.
Yeah, which really it's as good as an injury. Isn't it that long?
Yeah. And also the one thing I would say about City away, Fulham at home, we've taken the same amount of points that we'd all be happy with. We just took them the wrong way round.
It's true. Yeah. I think, I think from the Fulham game, I think Johnson's now got double figures this season, which is pretty impressive, right?
Is he our top scorer?
Yeah. And another great cross from Werner. He might not hit a cow's ass with a banjo, but he can put a cross in, that's for sure.
Yeah. What did you make of the sending off for Tom Kearney. Like, I was watching it, as I said earlier, not live on delay, but as soon as I saw the replay, I was like, he's gone. You can't do that. Like,
Absolutely knows them to play the ball.
Yeah.
He was going out to, he was trying to injure him. As far as I'm
horrible.
no other reason to put your foot down the back of his leg like that. The ball was miles away, and it wasn't just mistimed; it was intentional. So I'm not surprised he went. It's a shame because it was a bloody good goal he scored as well.
No, it really was. So for the Fulham game, if you factor in the injuries, the threadbare bench, the players that were being forced to play often out of position, where do you sit on that? The performance as a whole, the point. I mean, do you have concerns? Like we said last week, the measure of a team under ours right now is how we respond to that great win away to City. But then we didn't feel we'd be going into that Fulham game without Solanke. We knew we were without Vicario. Where do you sit on it? You have concerns around only a point at home, and that's 2 home games now where we dropped points where we maybe should be winning those games, or do you put it in the bucket of it's injuries, it's a bit of fatigue, and we just take the point and move on?
I think with the injuries and the suspensions that we've got at the moment, we are a mid-table team. So we will get good and bad results until everyone's back. And I think we're going to have to accept that. I mean, think about this time last season after that Chelsea game. We were abjectly shit for months until we started getting people come back from injury. And even then, it took us a long time to get back to the point where we were picking up points again. We were really poor, weren't we? We literally dropped like a stone. So I think it's definitely impactful. I think we really need to spend a bit of money in January I don't care much, but we need squad depth so that when this happens, that we have players that can come in that we don't see a massive drop off for the first team. We need like 2 equivalent players for every position. It's a lot to ask, and it's not going to happen in a single window. But there are key positions where we absolutely need it, like as a centre back. I would say, which is weird to say given that we've got 3 left backs, well, 2 left backs and Spence who can play as a left back. Probably another left back as well. I think.
We need another left back that can do the job that a doggy does well at times and can offer that pressure on him, because I don't think he has that. And then obviously you've got Ben Davies. By the way, Ben Davies, I would like to give him a bit of a shout out. I think he's been excellent in that position. I think he's been really, really good. His positional play's been good. Even against Fulham, when that overall performance wasn't great from the team, he's been good. He's been very good. And I'm glad of that, because we've needed his experience in there. But yeah, I don't disagree, mate. A left back. I've said this before on a few forums, and I doubt I've mentioned it on here, but I do wonder about a central midfielder with a bit more experience than Downs, even if it's on a 6-month or a 12-month deal. I don't know who that player is, but someone to come in and offer that experience when you need it, when you've got half an hour to go or you're 2-0 up at half time, you need someone to come in 55 minutes to avoid a Brighton away happening. You know, so where is he? Yeah, he was in Barcelona, didn't he? Yeah. I don't know. It's
he's Lyon, is it? I can't remember which. It's in France, isn't he?
Somewhere in France. But it's a funny thing, because in the centre of the park, we have legs, right? You've got Basuma and you've got Jar, and they will run all day for you. Without Bentancur, who, let's be honest, with this ban, he's not going to be fully best fit when he comes back, because he's only out playing Europa. We've not got that many Europa League games for him to participate in. I think I look around that midfield and I look around the squad, there's not a player that stands out to me that can get his foot on the ball and just calm things down. There was talk about being relinked with Harry Winks, which is very weird. But again, he could maybe do that job. But yes, Anne's got rid of him, which seems odd that we would want him back. Yeah. And then you've got, obviously, you mentioned it, but Archie Gray is a young player. But I mean, that's his kind of preferred position, isn't it? We're playing him everywhere but there.
I know. He's injured as well, right? He came. Yeah, I felt really bad for him because he finally came on in his preferred position, and he went off after about 7 minutes with an injury. But I'm really, he might be okay for Bournemouth even. Well, that would be a bit like a tight muscle or something.
Well, that'll be good. And then also, is Mikey more dead?
No, I think he's got bacterial dysentery or something. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever he's had, it wouldn't be surprised if he'd had COVID bad or something. And I don't know, makes you think. I think I've gone full Matt Letizia now, haven't I? But I think he's definitely, whatever he's had, it's taken weeks for him to get over it, which is unusual, right? Given that this is he's fueling their body properly every day and training, and it's probably a peak of human fitness. To be laid that low by something, it must have been quite serious, I reckon.
Yeah, hopefully he's on the mend soon, and we're seeing him in the squad. Because again, this is contrary to what I just said about experience, but we need it because he offers something. Whilst Werner has done a job and he comes on that left side and he offers pace and he can whip a good cross in, as he did for Johnson against Fulham, something Werner can't do, and I'd argue something Sonny can't really do, is take a man on and beat him. You know what I mean? That tricky winger. And that's something that Mikey Moore can absolutely do. As James Madison said, I think, in one of the European games, it was like having Messi on the wing. So, good player, right? Big future.
I think both Son and Werner, their game is the ball in behind, running in behind, right? It's that they've got the pace to beat a fullback and get in behind. Maybe not so much Son anymore, but he's not slow. But it's a bit same on the other side. But I think that's one of the problems we have, is that we've got two wingers in Son and Johnson who are goal scorers. They are going to score you goals, but they don't really add a lot more buffer than that. They're not really contributors to others scoring that much, I don't think. And maybe that's a problem because Solanke's not going to get a lot of service from them, so he's going to be relying on balls through from midfield. I don't know. Just it feels a bit like the balance isn't quite right when we have them both on. There's not enough creativity. It's very, if we can get the ball down the outside and run onto it, but we're not playing those balls either. So we've got people who want to play a certain way playing in the wrong positions, and then not play to the way that we're expecting them to play either. So I don't know. Feels a bit like maybe January we get a couple of players in that particularly suit the style. I've seen some weird names banded around, like people that I'd have to go full Danny Rose and Google people to really. They're not people that I'd heard of enough. But I guess, you know what, I'm okay with taking a punt on some prospects for the squad. I mean, no harm, no foul for that. We've got the Korean lad. Well, assuming he gets out the country, see what's going on over there.
I haven't actually, but Hung is it Yang Mick? I mean, what's going on in Korea? I don't know.
There's been a military coup.
Oh, really? I haven't been on the news to say.
No, the president has declared martial law, and basically they were stopping the parliament from sitting. The jury surrounded the parliament, and they're taking over all the media and everything. So apparently, all the civilians are kind of fought back. I think they just said no, we're not having that, and they managed to get all of the parliament to sit, and they did a vote to remove it. So yeah, it's been. I only found out this evening, but it just goes to show you over here, it's absolutely mental that Greg Wallace from MasterChef is getting. It's like the internet is 99% Greg Wallace memes at the moment. So there's a massive thing going on with massive military and power in Asia. I know it's a financial superpower as well. They're really big sounding in that area of the world, and you can't see it for Greg Wallace memes. It's amazing.
But, oh, that's funny. So let's hope that he can get out the country, because he was due to join us December, wasn't he?
He might end up getting encrypted again.
Yeah, right. Bloody Nora. I mean, looking ahead, we've got, obviously, as I mentioned, we're getting into silly season when it comes to games. So we've got Bournemouth Thursday night UK time away, and then we've got Chelsea at home Sunday afternoon. And then it's another quick turn for another Europa League game against Rangers away. So we've got lots of games coming. But Bournemouth away, they beat another Jekyll and Hyde team away. They beat Wolves away 4-2 after Wolves had beat Fulham 4-1. And this league's quite unpredictable, really, as it always tends to be. But Bournemouth, there won't be any. I mean, away is going to be difficult. They've beaten some decent teams.
Yeah, they're no mugs. They're a decent thing. I don't think it's going to be an easy game at all, especially with our depleted side. I think any positive thing could be that Solanke could be quite up for that.
I think so. They beat Arsenal. They beat Man City at home, to name a few. And then the last home game they had,
Anyone right at Lee, right?
Well, very true, yeah, clearly. But so it will be a tough game. It's one of those grounds, and it's going to sound strange maybe as it's got that, because obviously football pitches have a minimum and a maximum size in the Premier League, and it's got that smaller size to it because it's that compact. Because I think their stadium only holds about 12,000.
Yeah, it's 12, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a small ground. It's a pokey place to go, and they're not shit. So let's hope that we rock up.
Just a spare a thought for all of the travelling away supporters, that the game there's not a train back to London after the game finishes. So it's pretty shit. I think people will end up driving.
One of the
Not an easy place to get to, right? I mean, even from me, it's probably an hour and a half.
Yeah, my old club lives down that way, and it's not. We're to the same area, of course. It's not an easy place to get to. But why don't the club, in that instance, they put coaches on? Like, do something,
Yeah, something. They probably have for the supporters clubs, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird blog.
So, I guess not a lot of choice on who's going to be playing, but do you think Romero has a chance to be back? Because it was a toe injury, wasn't it?
I think Romero and Gray might be available. I think Romero was close to being ready for the weekend. Didn't quite make it at the end. And maybe he didn't want to rush him back, given that he's had his hurty toe now for several weeks. So yeah, I'm hopeful maybe him and Dragusin, and then we can maybe play Ben Davis as left back as an option. It gives us a bit of flexibility, doesn't it, over and above what we've been able to put out. And then maybe Archie Gray can drop into midfield in the Bentancur role. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we have to give him a chance there at some point, right? At least we've got any sort of 3 from 5 in that midfield area. I think that Maddison has not played well the last 2 games either. He played well against Man City, he turned it on against City, and I don't think he's been very impactful in either game since.
And it goes back to what I was saying that Gary Neville touched on in this podcast. Like, you've got to find a way to be up for the games that are on the ones that have been live.
We don't. Yeah, he's no use to us. I'd rather lose 1 game against Man City every season, or 2 games against Man City every season, and have him turn up against all the other teams than the other round. And I think that's the problem, isn't it? If you could afford to have 2 or 3 bad games. You could, if he's a player that we rely on to set the tempo of the pace of the game for all of our attacking. And if he doesn't do that in 75% of our games, it affects everyone, not just him. It's just him having a bad game. Everyone drops off. I think Fulham, I thought we were lethargic. The build-up was too slow. All of the problems that we've seen all the games where we played really bad, if he's still on the pitch, he's been part of the problem. Which I don't like to single the guy out, but I'm really disappointed again that he's not to maintain that level.
And it'd be interesting I guess you probably do start him, but he might not. He could look and say, well, you're benched again.
Bring Kuno back.
Yeah, bring Kuno back, play him central in that free role. So it'd be interesting. Be interesting to see what happens. What prediction, if any, are you going to put around the Bournemouth game? As I said, it's so tough to predict Tottenham games at the moment.
I think, so I'm a bit worried about this one. I think we might lose it, but I think it might be a narrow game. I don't think it'll be like a high scorer. I'm thinking maybe 2-1 to Bournemouth.
Yeah, I'm worried about it too. I'm going to be a little more positive in that I'm worried, but I think I can see us drawing the game. And I think it will be like a high scoring draw, maybe like a 2-2. It's a tough place to go, no doubt. They're not mugs, and we've not looked good against Fulham. And it's, as I said, it's right off the heels of that game, essentially. And then we've got Chelsea ahead after that, a Sunday. So it's balancing the squad, but it's balancing the squad with loads of bloody injuries. And that's what concerns me. Like, exactly what happened last season with the drop-off. Hopefully we don't see that. But, yeah, I'm going to go score draw Bournemouth away. I think we get something from the game. But, again, I don't know. I give up with predicting Tottenham at the moment because I just don't know what we're going to bloody get.
The problem is I can't even start to think about a result at Chelsea because
Is it away or home?
no, it's home again.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
So,
It depends on who's available, right? It almost literally is like what team can we put out? I think if we could put out a decent team, we play our best. Like City wasn't our. If it was the best available player, if it wasn't the best player, that we would probably say was our choices. But the performance was at that level, and I think we're going to have to play that well to beat Chelsea again.
and there's no,
in us at the moment.
and I guess he'd be available for Bournemouth, he's available for Chelsea, but there's no hope for Van der Vellis. Is he fully done on the December that we think?
Yeah, I think January. I think I read, well, it might be wrong.
The Chelsea game worries me because it pains me to say this, but they actually, and it were made to be seen how he gets on in the future with managing that huge squad. But what he's putting on the field at the moment, the cattle he's picking are delivering for them, and it's all going through Palmer. But they're playing some good stuff. And I said to Thomas in Vegas, and he disagreed with me, I was concerned that they're looking really good and they might be back in quotations. He was less concerned by that. He said, no, I don't think they will. I think there'll be a drop-off. The drop-off I can see happening with them is as we get into February, March, or January, February of the season, everyone's going to be happy there. And it's such a huge squad of big names and big money on those names. But they're playing well, and it's a bloody tough game. We really could do without it. But maybe that brings the best out of a team managed by and in those Chelsea games.
I think the Chelsea game, Chelsea as a squad are quite interesting, right? Because it's, number one, it's like 1 million people or something. It's like the population of China or something. But whilst they have a lot of games, it's relatively easy to give people playing time, right? But as you said, if they start to drop out the cuts over January, February, you could end up with 3 months where they've got there's just the league to worry about. Yeah, in theory, it could happen. I'm not saying it will. I think it'll definitely. They're in the conference, UEFA conference, aren't they?
They are, yeah. So they're playing in large. I don't know if they're kids where he's managing the squad, getting them in there. They've won. So that's one of their games. They won I think they won 8-0 or something.
That gives us an opportunity to keep the squad happy. If they get knocked out, are they still in that League Cup?
No, they're out. They must have gone out.
So that's why
they lost to Newcastle. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So then we've got the FA Cup. So they go out of that, then it's the less games there, the tougher it will be to keep that squad happy, right?
But for completeness, for the quarter-final League Cup lineup is Arsenal, Palace, Newcastle, Brentford, Southampton, Liverpool, and Tottenham, Man United. So that's the last 8. But no, you're right. It'll be interesting to see what plays out with them. I don't even know if I'm comfortable to end a prediction for the Chelsea game, but I guess we have to because it features before we record again. I don't know how we're doing it, but I think we're going to be. I think it's actually the way Ange is as a man and a man manager, and what I've read about him and read his book and seen footage of him. He seems to be a guy that can motivate off of past things that have occurred. Like, he can get you up for it. And I think his message to a large group of the players that played in that game last time will be, let's keep 11 men on the pitch and let's go and give our fans, because he's big on that, isn't he? The fans, this is all for the fans, for you guys. I think he'll have us up for it, and I think he'll remind and say, for those that played in the fixture last season, let's don't give our fans what they thought they could have, because we were playing really well in the opening 20, 25 minutes, weren't we? And let's be honest, it was a different team then, but under Poch and stuff, but we gave them a bloody good game with 9 men. We still had a go. Yeah. So let's hope we can keep 11-11 and not have silly injuries or red cards. I think we'll beat them. I don't know how it's going to be, though. I don't know if I put a score on it, but I just got a feeling that it's one of those where I think emotion's going to come to the surface, and I think in the right way. And I think we're going to beat and I think it's going to be a really good London derby. So let's have you.
I see like a
1-4. Yeah. Should be a good game.
Yeah, I like to. If I'll go low, and if we exceed my expectations, I'll be happy. So.
Yeah, well, indeed, like City of Mine, and
exactly.
And you're not going to be attending, right, the Chelsea game?
No. Got the guy who sits next to us is taking an extra seat. He's got another visitor, so he's going to be. We're in an arrangement where I can take seats off him when he's not there, and vice versa, which is quite handy because it means in theory we could get a block of 4 because he's on.
Yeah.
Next to him.
Yeah.
So that could be quite good for if we've got like a family, want to do a family thing. So I'll be out. It'll just be TV in that one again. I think I said last week I'll probably not be out to go now until the new year. So
yeah, and speaking of tickets and people going to games, I know he does subscribe and listen, but shout out to Andrew Sullivan, who it was all a bit 11th hour, and it's quite a funny story. So you had forgot to put the tickets on the exchange, but it actually worked out really well because I woke up to a load of messages in the Colorado Spurs group that he needed a pair of tickets for the Fulham game. But the home basically to and he was like, actually I forgot to put them on. I was like, good, because I've got someone who wants them.
Yeah, it works out well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so sorry it wasn't a better result, Andrew. But I'm glad you got to bed. I'm glad your son got to experience it. It's a game day out.
The game wasn't as enthralling as expected.
No, indeed. Well, the other thing that occurred on Monday evening in the UK was the FA Cup third round draw. To call out a few, which we'll get to our tie in a moment, but to call out a few of the standout ties, you've got Arsenal home to Man United. That's actually a bit of a result in that those two meeting each other early doors is always good. So that United with a new manager bounce might knock them out. Arsenal had Liverpool last year, didn't they? And they were knocked out. And then you've also got Salford City go to Manchester City. So if anyone's up on their footy knowledge, Salford City are owned by Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, and various others. So there's a Man United connection that Salford going to Man City. So that's a fun one. And then getting to Spurs, we have pulled out Tamworth, which is, I think it's one of, if not the lowest ranked teams left in the competition. And they play at a ground called Dazan. And it's a 4,000, I think, capacity.
Yeah.
So for anyone that's not seen it, there's some fun footage of the draw happening and some of their fans being at the clubhouse, it looked like, in Tamworth. And they were all celebrating immensely that they pulled a big name as a Premier League team travelling to Tamworth. Or not. I don't know, Graeme. You were suggesting
I think the rules
can't happen anymore.
I think the rules have been changed and you have to play at the stadium where it's been drawn from. I think that changed a few years back.
Right, okay. I didn't realise the rule had changed, and I thought we could see a change where they get a bigger share of the game.
Well, I think if I ever be the chairman, because they get, I think, I was listening to this on the radio, that so from the gates, it's split 3 ways. So home team, FA and away team, so they probably would have got £500,000 just from gate receipts, and they'll probably get some decent TV money, but it's only going to be on BBC or something, isn't it? But it's a bit sad for them. They'll get a full house, no doubt. And
well, I think we've seen this before, haven't we? I got all the way back to, I can't remember what year it was. It was mid or late 90s when Newcastle United played Stevenage. And Stevenage...
New stand, didn't they? A scaffold.
They did. Yeah, they did. Exactly. That's where I'm going with this. So, yeah, they built a new stand. I wonder if you'll see Tamworth do similar, like they erect something that can get some more.
Yeah, because it's all very flat, isn't it? It's all.
Oh well, I was kind of nerding out last night. I was doing a Google image of their ground, and I pulled up some images in it, and it's bloody tiny. It reminds me, for those listening, Sandhurst Town and Bracknell Town play at a little ground called Bottom Meadow in Sandhurst, which I went to last April when I was back for a visit. It looks like that. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
But then. And I've heard someone say that they play on, not Astro, but 5G. I don't think it's grass.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I wonder how that impacts things. So that's a very different surface to play it when you're used to playing a Premier League standard grass. And obviously we're a month and a bit away from that, Zigzag, but I hope that Ange, for Tamworth's benefit, I hope that Ange doesn't go full kids. I think it would be nice to see a few bigger names play. And also, I've been watching the FA Cup for many, many years, as you have. At our peril, do we completely play kids and take that game for granted?
We've had that blow up in their faces too many times, haven't we?
Yeah. So we need to go there and win that.
I was absolutely happy for them to get the opportunity to play the cup until the bunch of little year seven get battered everywhere they go. So now I hope we absolutely destroy them. I want to see a 20-0 win. I want to see them all crying on the sideline.
Yeah, it's what the cup's all about, isn't it? Getting these forward things, and it's nice to see. But yeah, as I said, we'll cover that game in way more detail once we get closer to it. I do hope that doesn't just go with kids for a plethora of reasons. We need to take that seriously, and we need to get through because, get another nice draw in the next round, home or away. Then all of a sudden you're in the fifth round and they're not too far away from, going on a deep run in the competition, which we're doing in the League Cup. But yeah, mate. Well, before we take it, anything more to cover, mate?
Talking about those kind of small stadium things. Do you remember that? I think it was probably 5 years ago or something when I think it was it Arsenal who played away at Sutton? Yeah, it was. They played the Sutton United hosted Arsenal at their ground, and again that's Astro, tiny little ground. That was the match. Do you remember the he was a coach /
the pie, or was it
the pie one?
The pie, yeah. And the son read a book on if he was going to eat pie, and then it all came out that it was yeah. I remember that. Yeah,
and he got really badly. I think he got fined, and I'm not sure if he.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, would really. Yeah. So. Although these kind of little, they really throw up some interesting stories, don't they?
They really do.
I miss the fact that the years when the FA Cup used to be something special. It feels like all the TVs focused primarily on the Premier League.
It is, and a few rounds have now done away with the replay. And I don't know if the third round has, but I'm not saying that it's likely to happen, but it might happen. If Tamworth were to get a draw out, and then they get the right of a replay back at the big ground.
If we end up going to a replay against Newport,
we did. Yes, we
went to the before. I went to the replay at Wembley when it snowed. It was like about -5. It was. I think it's probably the coldest I've ever been at a football match.
Yeah. We drew
quite handily in the return, but it took us back. Yeah,
let's hope not for a repeat. Because it's always fun to be a neutral watching those types of games, but it's never fun when you're the team.
You beat them. You're expected to beat them. If you lose, you're rubbish. So
100%.
It's around my birthday as well, and that sort of beginning of Jan, right? I don't know what the date is for the fixtures.
I think it's the weekend of the 11th. Your birthday is 10th, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah,
mine's January 2nd.
I would to go, but I'm assuming I'd need about 4 million loyalty points.
Oh,
Back out 4,000.
on current capacity, they only get 10%, so we get 400.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we get them all on one boat.
No, for sure. Good stuff. Well, last thing for me before we close out the cover is we're going to be running a bit of a special on a few, we're calling it Unsung Heroes, where we're going to kind of cover their career. So look out for that. And that's going to happen in December with the lead up to Christmas. But yeah, unless you've got anything to add on.
One thing before we finish, I spent some time last weekend doing a Korean dub of the last podcast episode, and this week there's a military coup. Coincidence?
It's home and away's fault.
Exactly. I've obviously the cultural revolution has started. So,
off the back of us. Yeah, I did listen to that dub. You did the little soundboy, and it's quite funny hearing me in Korean. And
yeah, I send it to. So for those of you who don't know, my friend Gareth is the one who sings the intro and outro music. So he recorded it for me because I couldn't use the original. And and when I did the dub, he's singing he's dubbed into Korean as well, and it sounds like he's being tortured while he's singing it.
Oh, that's funny.
But you can still tell it's his voice. It's very weird.
Oh yeah. Assuming they come out of the coup, everyone's safe. We need to contact the Korean support to get them.
Yeah, I have reached out to them, but response yet. They're probably a bit busy right now.
Yeah, I was going to say they're a little bit under the pump. Yeah, indeed. Well, look, lots of games to look forward to. It's always a fun time of year coming into Christmas and New Year with lots of Premier League games and FA Cup, and obviously the added bonus of we do have European football all the way through into January. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone who's listened in. Please like and subscribe to the podcast to tickle the algorithm so we can get in front of more Tottenham supporters. And as Led said, come on, you Spurs.
You can contact us on email at tottenhamhomeandaway@gmail.com or on Twitter X @TottenhamH&A. Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day.